Welcome. My name is Drew Coleman. I'm a financial advisor with the Next Level Planning Group. Welcome to our fourth session of our new series titled 10 for 10. The concept of this series is that less is more. In the past, we've had longer format videos that have lasted between 30 and 60 minutes. And in those videos, we covered a variety of topics. But in the 10 for 10 series, the objective is to cover just one topic, doing a deep dive into that one topic for roughly 10 minutes. And today's conversation is going to focus on the Roth IRA. Before we get into that, I do have one disclosure slide to share with you all. And here we are. So what is a Roth IRA? Well, it's an individual retirement account funded with after-tax dollars. Roth IRAs provide tax-free growth and tax-free qualified withdrawals after age 59 and a half and after the account has been open for 5 years. And this is pretty unique. There are no required minimum distributions for Roth IRAs. IRAs, 401ks require that money be taken out of them at a particular age. For IRAs, it's age 73. But Roth IRAs don't ever have to take the money out. That's pretty cool. And I think this image is a perfect representation of a Roth IRA. Imagine a seed that represents after-tax dollars being planted into the ground, and that seed grows into this tree that provides wood, shade, and bears fruit. And all of it comes with no tax bill. That's pretty impressive. And no tax bill, assuming, of course, what I described earlier, that withdrawals are made after 59 and a half and after 5 years of ownership. So you might be thinking, wow, this Roth IRA sounds really compelling. It's like a really great investment vehicle. How can I put money into it? And, are there any rules governing how I can make contributions? And I want to spend some time talking about that right now. And so we'll focus on single filers and joint filers. And for single filers, if modified adjusted gross income is less than 138, then they can make the maximum contribution, which is if they're under the age of 50, well, it's $6,500. And if you're 50 and over, it's $7,500. And once modified adjusted gross income exceeds $153,000, then contributions are no longer allowed. It's a bit of a sorry, Charlie. You did a really nice job making a lot of money, but sorry, you can't make a contribution. And everything between $138,000 and $153,000 is just a sliding scale, a reduction, making your way from that first number, the 138, to 153. Looking at couples who are married filing a joint tax return, well, same concept, but just bigger numbers. If modified adjusted gross income is less than $218,000, well, then they can make maximum contributions. And then if modified adjusted gross income is greater than $228,000, then contributions are not allowed. And everything between 218 and 228 is just a reduced amount, making its way from the maximum contribution all the way down to zero. And so what you're seeing, it's hard to get money into a Roth IRA. And correspondingly, it's difficult to build up a Roth IRA. Imagine someone who's 30 years old, and they can make maximum contributions. Well, the most that 30-year-old could put into a Roth IRA is $6,500. And if that 30-year-old did it for 10 consecutive years, there'd be $65,000 of contributions in that Roth IRA. Conversely, that same 30-year-old making contributions into a 401k. Well, in this case, the maximum contribution is $22,500. And after 10 years at that pace of maximum contributions, they'd have $225,000 in that 401k. That's 3.5 times more dollars in the 401k than the Roth IRA. So we can see here it's difficult to get money into a Roth IRA. One is like your income has to be the right level. If you make too much, you can't. If you make under the modified adjusted gross income levels, then you can make a contribution. And when you can't put lots in, only a small amount. And it's also a use it or lose it proposition. If you miss a year, you can't carry it over to future years. And so it's hard to put money in Roth IRAs. And so when you have the opportunity, it's my opinion, you should really consider making a contribution to a Roth IRA. It can be anywhere between $1 and the maximum amount. So who should consider making a contribution to a Roth IRA? And I want to cover three types of people who I think should definitely think about making contributions to Roth IRAs. And there could be more than three. Oh, there definitely are more than three, but I just want to focus on three today. And that first is individuals who expect to be in a higher tax bracket or can envision being in a higher tax bracket when taking withdrawals from retirement accounts. I want to spend a few moments discussing this point. Retirees could face a shifting and changing tax environment during all their years in retirement. Imagine retirement could be 20 years, 30 years, maybe even 40 years. And in some years, tax brackets could be very generous. In other years, tax brackets could be very onerous. This uncertain future leads to the value of having a Roth IRA. So retirees can manage tax bills associated with onerous tax brackets in retirement. By having a Roth IRA, retirees have choice of where to go to get money. In years in which tax brackets are generous, well, retirees can pull money from IRAs and pay the associated tax bill of taking money out of IRAs or 401ks. In years in which tax brackets are onerous, well, retirees can pull money from their Roth IRAs and avoid paying tax. So if anyone can envision being a high tax bracket, I think that's the type of person who should definitely consider funding a Roth IRA. Well, who else? What's the second type of individual? Well, individuals who are in a low tax bracket and aren't looking for tax deductions. If your current tax bracket is 10% or 12%, you're already in a pretty favorable tax bracket. And with that in mind, it's likely better to pay the tax now and fund a Roth IRA. You're not giving up much now in the form of a tax deduction. And you're setting yourself up for the possibility of higher tax brackets and tax-free growth. And there's a nuance to this point, and that's the basic income and corresponding tax trajectory of most people. The basic trajectory is one of growing income for individuals as they work. The longer people are in the workforce, the more opportunities they have to accrue promotions and pay raises. Add to that the possibility of getting married and the possibility of combining two incomes. It's unreasonable to envision a window of time in the early stages of one's professional career, which they can contribute to a Roth IRA. But through time, and as they get through that window of time, they find themselves making too much money, and they can't make a contribution into a Roth IRA. So for sure, if you're in that lower tax bracket, you should be thinking about making that tax deduction. You should be thinking about making that contribution to a Roth IRA because you're not really hunting for tax deductions. But I think young workers who are in high school and college who have W-2 earnings are another great example of the type of individual who's in a low tax bracket to make contributions to a Roth IRA. And these types of individuals have years and years of compounding ahead of them. And the third type of individual I want to describe here is individuals who have already fully funded their workplace retirement accounts and are looking for more places to save. They maxed out their 401k and they're thinking, where else can I save? Well, definitely consider the Roth IRA. And the last big point I want to share is that we talked about the income limits associated with making contributions. And well, in fact, that doesn't necessarily shut the door on contributing to a Roth IRA. There is a means of contributing to a Roth IRA through the backdoor process that allows high income earners to fund a Roth IRA. That's a two-step process. The process involves first making a contribution to an IRA with after-tax dollars, then not deducting that contribution on your tax return, and then from there, converting the contribution to your Roth IRA and withholding no tax on the conversion as the money has already been taxed. And presto, you funded a Roth IRA via the backdoor process. Now, if not done properly, there's a possibility of triggering taxes, but done in this format, you've now funded the backdoor Roth IRA and you've already paid the tax up front because you're using after-tax dollars. But this process doesn't work for everyone. It's a process to fund a Roth IRA, but it doesn't work for everyone. It's really ideal for workers who do not have what I call a pre-existing condition. That pre-existing condition is having pre-tax assets in an IRA. Said it another way, they don't have a traditional IRA. They don't have a SEP IRA. They don't have a beneficiary IRA. They don't have a simple IRA. They don't have a rollover IRA. They have no IRA assets. And if they don't have any type of IRA assets, they don't have this pre-existing condition, and they're a perfect candidate for funding the backdoor Roth IRA. Now, I want to make a point here. Like, this is a matter of ideal. Anyone can complete the backdoor Roth IRA process of funding a Roth IRA. But those with IRA assets already in place, will trigger the pro rata rule, and that pro rata rule will make the process of funding the backdoor Roth IRA taxable. What we're trying to do is avoid paying additional taxes on the contribution by making it to Roth IRA. So, if you find yourself that you don't have any IRA assets, but you make too much money, well, then definitely consider making a contribution via the backdoor Roth IRA. And so I just want to wrap up with some key insights here. Is one, it's hard to get money into a Roth IRA. The window of opportunity to make a contribution to a Roth IRA might be limited. The opportunity to save after-tax dollars in a Roth IRA is compelling to a range of savers. And lastly, contributions can be via the front door and the back door. So thank you. Thank you for attending the session. I hope you found it informative. And stay tuned as we continue to release more sessions in our 10 for 10 program.